Journalism means going where the action is and recording it as it happens. As in this office occupation in the centre of London.
We're occupying this office in order to save Limerick Forest.
Hi there. Excuse me. It's okay, that's all right. No, thank you.
The police refused to accept my press credentials and arrested me because I couldn't remember my press card PIN number.
He took his camera and wrenched it away from him, and then he was dragged downstairs and he's got his arm behind his back and they got his camera.
Not only was I locked in a cell until the news deadlines had passed, but my press card and all my tapes were confiscated. Undercurrent spent a year investigating the extent to which the police are able to control and manipulate the news. During the evictions of the protest camps at Manchester Airport, the police corralled all the journalists into a special press pen.
The press pens are set up by the police and whoever's, I don't know, behind the road or whatever, so it's not in their interest to give you a brilliant view.
So I think it's evolved from individual PCs just shoving people around through to what is now a high-level decision that this is the way that news will be managed.
Can you explain why we're not given a camera position where we can actually see the evictions taking place?
Any other questions?
I think that was a question.
Yes, I've taken enough from you, thank you very much.
Well, could I ask that question?
Yes, no, you can't. I've dealt with that question. That's all I'm saying at the moment.
A few journalists did, however, report from inside the police cordon, both in the trees and in the tunnels.
I'm here because I really truly believe that the press needs to be on the front line of protests like this. Partly because the press is not allowed into protests like this, and it is in theory illegal to come here, and yet I think some of the things which are happening here are of great interest to the wider public.
Freelance photographer Nick Cobbing was the only journalist reporting from the trees when the evictions began.
I got 2 or 3 rolls of good shots. Most of the protesters had been removed from the tree already, and I'd photographed them being lowered down, which is exactly what I wanted to do. And I said to the crime, I'd be quite happy to go down now, when you're ready. And he said, well, that's fine, I'll drop you down next.
But despite showing the police his press card, Nick was arrested for obstruction and held in custody until all his news deadlines had passed.
I think the procedures for dealing with journalists and the access that journalists are allowed and the protocols to do with that need to be looked at. And I don't think it should be up to the chief police officer on the day or in charge of the operation to suddenly say, right, that's it, I have no press access to this event. Effectively, that's a news blackout.
Next casualty was HTV producer John Fraser Williams.
My name's John Williams, I'm a journalist with HTV.
Yeah.
I was lying in a sleeping bag and I was thrown over onto the ground. The leader of the party that came in to turn the thing over, I identified myself to him as a journalist and he promptly kicked me in the ribs and hit me over the ear with this truncheon. I'd like to report that formally as an assault, and I'd be grateful if you could take action against the individual concerned.
I asked the secretary of the press card scheme what he would like to see as a solution to the problems.
We want the police to put on paper, and to, more importantly than put on paper, to instruct all their officers on the ground to recognise the press card.
They need to get it straight that the press card it actually means something, because a lot of times now, if you can't get through police lines. I was in Germany a couple of weeks ago covering the nuclear protests over there, and there was police everywhere. There was 30,000 police, but as long as if you had a press card, that's fine. You could go anywhere you wanted. Whereas here, almost every time now, if the police, the police won't let you go anywhere. They try and corral you into a small area, keep you away from the action.
Video journalist Maren Gergensen also reported on the nuclear protests in Germany and followed the story of British activists adopting the same techniques at Sellafield.
In Germany, there were 30,000 police, and I had no problems to go everywhere and to film everything what was happening. And in Sellafield, I was all alone. There were about 10 police, maybe 10 policemen, and I just got nicked immediately.
I'm gonna stay.
Right, you're under arrest for trespassing on the railway line, okay? You don't have to say anything, but behind your defence, you don't mention no questions. You say nothing with evidence.
While reporting on the anti-vivisection protests at Hillgrove Farm in Oxford, I met freelance video journalist Gerard O'Sullivan.
But I'm there filming other things that they don't want filmed, and I'm always getting harassment from the police. On a recent demo at Hillgrove Farm, I filmed somebody being arrested. And then all of a sudden, I was like, a load of policemen around me, not taking the camera off of me, yanking the camera away from me, and led me away under Section 2 of the Harassment Act.
Was he really arrested for using the camera?
He was arrested for using the camera, sir. So,
Well, this law was brought in to stop women being stalked, or anybody at that matter being stalked. And it seems now that they're using this law against photographers.